Hey guys, come with you with my April social work video, a day in the life of a social worker. So for the month of April, I really did not have to sit here and think too long about my topic. My topic for this month is actually trauma. It's actually all I know is pain, hurt, and RIP to the rapper DMX X Earl Simmons. Um, mm, I have to say, when I found out he passed away, we all just been like, wow, wow. And just, he definitely left behind a legacy, you know. We will talk about him from years to come. So, with that being said, I sat here and I watched the Rough Rider Chronicles. It came on BET yesterday from chapter 1 to chapter 5, which was really good just to kind of see a little background of until DMX's life, Earl's life. I sat here, right now, in New York, Connecticut, Jersey, everybody's playing DMX, due out of respect. And it's funny because I love music. I love music. Like, I am my Christian girl. Yes, God all day. Jesus promoter all day. But I love music. And all types of music, to be real. Unless it's something really, really like satanic and. But I love music. So with that being said, I thought about Earl. Earl the child. Earl that in his music and his lyrics talks about the hurt and the pain that he's been going through. And I sat here yesterday and as I'm listening to my playlist, and I was listening to his song, I'm slipping, I'm falling, and I can't get up. Just when you listen to those lyrics, it is powerful. When you go back and listen to that one and the one for his grandmother with Faith Evans, I Miss You. Oh my God, like that stuff brought tears to my eyes because I'm just like, oh, like wow, the hurt, the pain. And he talks about, I love how he always talked about God and how he always talked about his struggles, which is reality. This is the reality that people face. We want to serve God, we want to do right, but then you also talk about the reality of your struggles. And being a social worker, it's funny because I can see so much more now. Back then when he came out, I was young. It's music. I'm like, oh yeah, DMX, Rough Rider anthem, blah 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 blah. I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. But now that I'm in this field, mental health, that deal with addiction, because in our hospitals we all know most of the people that come back are homeless, mental health and addiction. They keep coming back to the point that you get to know them and you build rapport and a relationship with them, to the point that when your person comes back, it's hey, how you doing, why are you back here, what's going on, what happened. You're meeting them where they're at, you're meeting them where you kind of left off. So with that being said, I think about trauma. I think about that's real. One thing they always said as a social worker, when you get into this field, as you start to deal with patients, if you don't deal with your own trauma, it's going to come up, it's going to affect you, and it's going to get in your way to be able to provide, a certain type of service. Because as I sat here a couple weeks ago when I did like this fasting and praying, I realized that there was somebody that I was mad at when I was 14, and I'm 38. It was probably the end mid-March, where I woke up one morning and I just kind of said her name and said, I forgive you. And didn't, honestly, she moved on with her life, I moved on with my life, we're no longer friends. But it was funny to see that I was still in a way angry with her. And honestly, I didn't even realize I was angry with her until I was going through my fasting. And and I always say, even with my patients now, my substance abusers that come back all the time. I had a patient, we talked about why he relapsed. He's been sober for such a long time. And I always like to ask them, when you were sober, where were you? What was going on through your mind? What exactly were you doing, or what kept you sober? And he said to me, I was a recovery coach. I was working, I was helping. So I said, so then what happened? The pandemic happened, and I could not work as a recovery coach no more. So with that being said, he's divorced, lives alone, his children are adults. He just drank. And now you're telling me you want to go to a treatment program. But what happens after a treatment program? You can go to a 28-day treatment program, right? 30 days, 45 days, 90 days. But when you're discharged and you complete that program, you're coming back to the same situation. You're coming back to your home. You're coming back. So we have to deal with the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the depth of it, what's causing it. Because if you don't deal with it, no matter what, you can go to every treatment facility you want. You can go to the fancy ones, the cheap, the really messed up ones that got the drug dealers outside the treatment centers waiting to, sell you something. It won't make a difference if you do not attack it. And I remember Minister Shannon Everett, which I love Minister Shannon Everett, y'all. She got the Sanctuary app. She's on YouTube. Google her, find her, Shannon Everett. She talked about trauma. She talked about dealing with it. Because the problem is people don't want to deal with trauma, right? They rather just continue masking it, whether it's drinking, whether it's using substances, whether it's being promiscuous, risky behaviors, whether it's, I like to shop. And it wasn't, when I was shopping a lot, I mean, I'm better now. It wasn't to deal with any trauma or pain, just because I just shop and bought, I thought the label, so funny. My friend used to call me, oh, you're such a label whore. If it doesn't have a name in it, you're not wearing it. And I was like, I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, well, I like what I like. I like different stores. I don't discriminate. I like everything. But when I was younger, I was very specific with, I had to wear certain, brand, certain title, because I felt that gave me a certain definition. Like if I came in here with a Louis Vuitton bag, a Prada jacket, something, you're going to look at me like, oh, okay, she has a certain status and certain things. So that used to bring me like, oh, yes, I like it. But then after a while, that stuff didn't mean anything. Because after a while, I was still me, and it took me some time, but this is again my younger self. But as I got older, that stuff don't mean nothing. And it's funny because I have fun with it sometimes. Like when I go to like a luxury department store, I love when I go there and they just looking at you as if like, you can't afford anything in here. Love it. And I love it when there's times where I get dolled up, I come in here, food, makeup, dressed up, whatever, and they just, oh, you look like a certain person. You look like you have a job or a woman of a certain class. Everybody wants to help you. I never forget when I started going on the Lord and Taylor years ago. The Dior woman was always kind of mean and nasty, wasn't approachable. But then the NARS girl, we became friends because she was always, hey, how you doing? Talking and this and that. And I would come and buy. And she saw me all the time because I became really good friends with the NARS girl. And I was always in Lord and Taylor. And then I remember one time I had to buy something from Dior and she was the only one there. So I happened to go there, and again, my spirit didn't take her because she was always just nasty and mean. And just thought that, I guess because I'm black, young, I probably couldn't afford anything in here. And I never forget, one time I came in to friends and family. See, when you're a black card holder, you get to go a day early. So I came in and I went to go purchase something. She said, oh, no, sweetie, the coupon starts tomorrow. And I'm like, no, it actually starts today. It starts today for Premier card holders. And then when I pull out my black card, it was like, oh, thank you so much, Cassandra, for coming. Because now I was Cassandra. Why? Before, I guess I was nobody. But then once you realize that I pulled that black card out, now I look like, oh, she has money. Oh, but a lot of times I come into these places either after work, so I might look dressed a certain way, blazer, jacket, whatever I decide to wear that day. Or there's days where I'm running to the mall to get something quick, so I throw in a hoodie. A hoodie and some jeans. I don't do pajamas, y'all. Sweatpants, maybe, and that's like very rare when it's cold and dreary outside raining. But I like to throw in jeans with a nice hoodie, and I'll run in. But, people sometimes like to judge us, because we're black and brown. They think that either we don't work or I don't know. So, and to go back to trauma and hurt, for a long time, I felt that I had to do a certain thing or look a certain way because I wanted you to look at me and not look at me as, oh, she's, some chick around the way, or she probably working at, I don't know, just throwing things out there, McDonald's or the mall, or she ain't got no career, she ain't got no degree, or, stuff that people do. And as I sit here and think about Earl, I think about 2 weeks ago, I've been on call and I got killed, y'all. Let me see. On call for us at my hospital is you're on from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. So anything that happens after you clock out of work at 4 o'clock, 4:30, you're coming back into the hospital. So as I was dealing with a 10-year-old that had suicide and some other issues, they pulled me to the side and said, we got another case for you. And I was like, oh, great. What now? I'm trying to go home because I got to come back to work at 8 a.m. And it's now almost 9 o'clock. And it's an abandoned 4-year-old. Black boy, about 4, can only tell us his first name and that he's about 4 or 5, and that's it. We didn't know who he was. And witness said they saw a black woman pulled up in her car, went like this to the child, and then opened the door and let him out. When they realized that he didn't go into nobody's house, they called the cops. And then here it is, finally yesterday, this made the news, because guess what? I had to wait for the Department of Children to come get this kid, hand them this child that nobody claimed. No one reported this kid missing. Nobody was looking for this kid. And I'm a mother. I have one kid, okay? And then one day I'll tell you my story, because I lost 3 just to have 1. So for stuff, when I see stuff like that, again, you deal with your own pain and trauma, because it takes you back. Because I know, like, Lord, you played me, right? Okay, and my baby was a miracle child, and thank God she's healthy. She's 8, she'll be 9, and like I said, there'll be a social work story one day. So to see that as a mom, like, you just, and then on top of it, you threw this kid away in one of the worst side of town. So what was going on? And again, as a social worker, people are quick to judge. Me, I'm thinking, A, did she get hurt? Did something happen to her? Or B, did she have a mental health break? Did something happen? Because when we looked at this kid, this wasn't a kid that was malnourished. This wasn't a kid that was dirty. This wasn't a kid that somebody took care of this kid. So what changed it? What happened that made a mother kick her own child out and left? And when they finally, I guess when it went viral, because now they posted his picture because they wanted help from the community, right? They found the mother, they arrested her, and neighbors were so shocked, because they were like, she's always with that kid. That kid is always attached to her. But they noticed the other day when she was gardening in her nice side of town, in the town that she lives in, they didn't notice that she didn't have the kid with her. But they didn't think anything of it, because the kid is always with her. So in my mind, I'm thinking, something's not right. Either mom had a mental health break, something's not right. Because what mother in the right side of town? I cannot imagine opening my car to go drop my 8-year-old. But I think about Earl, right? Who talk about how his mother, let's talk about it. His mother left, basically. He went to all these different boys' house, all these different, what do you call it? The boys' village, like the different homes that he had, that he was labeled as a runaway, runaway, troublemaker. No one dealt with the trauma. No one dealt with Earl, the child. See, you got to deal with the child, the trauma, because these people grow up to be adults. And when you don't deal with the trauma and the hurt, you continue to self-medicate. And once that medication wears out, you're back to your reality. And I think about, again, I have stories for days. I had another patient, God rest her soul, she passed away, that dealt with child abuse by her father at a young age. Never, ever dealt with that trauma. What she kept doing was self-medicated. And never dealt with it, didn't want to talk about it, did not do anything. And we see that. And as you guys, some of you guys I know about to graduate, some of you guys already work in the field, we have to think about, I always say, when you're, depending on the case, it might bring up something in you or something for you. Kids is always, I'm very sensitive about children, because I love kids. I love children. I have one, but I love kids. And this is why I could not work for Department of Children and Families, because I love children. And it's just like, wow, like everybody at work wants to take this child home, but yet somebody doesn't want him. So when as I sat here yesterday, I was listening to his songs, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. That brought tears to my eyes, because those words are powerful. As I listened to when he lost his grandmother, I had another patient that I asked, what's going on? You're 50-something and you're cocaine, heroin, what's going on? He said, I would have never been in this situation if my mother was still here. He said, I lost my mother 2 years ago and I never got back up again. And I always tell people, no matter how many times you fall, the goal is to never stay down. It's to get back up again, continue getting back up again. And this is why when I saw Earl Simmons, DMX, 2 years ago, 2019, August to be exact, with my girlfriend, we ran into him at Mount Vernon. I encouraged him, told him how happy he looked and how good he looked and how we love his music and how I could not wait to hear new music, and how he was like, it's coming, I'm working on it. And I was like, yes, keep doing it. I'm so proud of you. You look great. You look good. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna say a prayer for you. And how excited, like I couldn't believe it. Me and my girlfriend actually went to Amy Roof in Harlem, and we stopped at Mount Vernon, and on the way back we stopped at Target, and I'm like, that's DMX. And she was like, where? I was like, right here. That is DMX. And she was like, oh, shoot, you're right. So we rolled the window down. We having a whole conversation. And he's such a people person. He's so friendly. He's so approachable. So, I'm happy he finally has peace. But as social workers, we got to do better. We got to work. And we really have to help our patients face the trauma, the hurt, and the pain. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.